Leading consulting firms like BCG, Bain or Big Four spend a lot of time, money and energy to train the new consultants, to train the new joiners of their firm. One of the things that is most focused on in these onboarding training programs is communication. If you talk to any senior consultant in these firms, they will tell you that communication is key in the business world and is one of the skills that young graduates from university lack most. Today I'm talking about the MECE principle of communication. It's a key principle, super relevant both for oral but also for written communication. And if some of you already know what MECE means, I trust that if you watch the video you will still learn something new, because in the end I'm also going to show you a super tangible exercise how you can apply the MECE principle to your daily work to really improve your especially written communication. Welcome to another coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich, and on my channel I want to help you to become successful in the first years of your career. MECE is a term that is almost cliche. Whenever you will attend a consulting training, MECE will almost always be part of the curriculum. So as a little motivation, let's just check out some of these MECE consulting memes, just that we know what we're talking about. So I just googled MECE meme in the Google picture search and you can see that already lots of stuff is popping up. So just pre-opened a couple of them. Let's just briefly check it out. So here, MECE, all the things. This indeed is a motto of consultants. So pretty much everything needs to be MECE. So this is indeed super important for all the consultants, right? Or MECE you say and master. Yes, it is important to master the MECE principle to become a good consultant. That's for sure. Framework, not MECE, I am disappointed. And indeed, if you come up with a page with a slide that is not MECE, you can trust that your senior partner will be disappointed indeed. You had me at MECE, and of course, if your partner knows what the MECE principle is, then some consulting people might find that quite attractive, or maybe the opposite, but I guess that's up to you. Stay MECE, my friends. Indeed, guys, stay MECE and you will be fine. So let's now look into what MECE actually means. And MECE is an acronym standing for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. And if you do not directly understand right now what this means, just wait a sec, I'm going to explain it for you. So mutually exclusive means that different parts should not overlap. They should be disjoint. They should be separate from each other. And collectively exhaustive means that several parts together should again form the total of a larger thing. MECE therefore is a principle that you should apply whenever you decompose or disaggregate a larger thing into its subparts. So whenever you break something down into smaller parts, when you have a problem, you want to decompose it into smaller sub-problems, into smaller sub-facets of a larger thing, then this MECE principle comes into play. And as I now already hinted, this is something that is of course super relevant to the consulting world or to business practitioners in general, because for them it is a daily task to break down things, to simplify things. But let's make it now a bit more tangible by looking at a visual representation of a MECE decomposition. What you see here is the MECE decomposition of a circle. So let's imagine that you are tasked to break down a circle into its subcomponents. And if you do it in the way that is shown here, this decomposition would meet the MECE principle because the subparts are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. They are mutually exclusive because the parts do not overlap. As you can see, all the parts are disjoint from each other, and they are indeed collectively exhaustive because if you take all the parts together, the sum of them indeed composes again a full circle. So maybe this sounds a bit complicated, but the truth is that MECE is no rocket science. It is not really complicated, but it is rather something that we are all very familiar with in our daily life. And for instance, you would absolutely naturally follow the MECE principle if you would organize a physical card collection. When I was a young kid, I used to collect magic cards. It's a trading card game where you can get lots of cards and that you can then exchange with friends. where you then can also play games against each other. Over my childhood, I collected hundreds, if not thousands, of these cards. And as you can see, they are ordered, and they are indeed ordered by the color of the card. So in this specific trading card game, cards had a distinct color. And now I hope that you realize that by ordering the cards in this way, I was already following the MECE principle at that time. But why is it MECE? And well, let's look at the first part, mutually exclusive. If you put all your cards into different groups, into different buckets of cards, now in this example, the colors of the cards, then you put each card exactly once into one of the buckets, and then this is mutually exclusive because these buckets do not overlap, right? Because one card cannot be in more than one bucket. But then of course it's also collectively exhaustive, because if every card has a color and you can assign every card to a bucket, then in the end all the cards will be distributed across the buckets. So this is then fine, all the cards will be gone, all the cards will be ordered. So yes, such a card collection will then be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. It will be MECE, so as you can see, it is indeed no rocket science, but something that even many kids will be able to do. So I hope it is clear now what MECE actually means. But now let's get practical and let's jump in an example of how you can apply the MECE principle to your daily work. So let's imagine the following scenario. You are working on a cost-cutting project, either as a consultant or maybe also as an internal employee in the company. And your objective that you've been tasked with by your senior management is to size the cost reduction potential for the client and to develop measures to implement the cost reductions. So the management pretty much wants to know, okay, roughly how much cost can I take out of different parts of the business, and then what do I actually need to do? What are the measures to actually achieve these cost savings? So you agreed on looking into 4 concrete areas. This is the production, the sales function, the purchasing function, and overhead, right? And for each of these areas, now you size the potential by doing some benchmarks and some other things. You define some low-hanging fruits, and then on top of that, you identified more medium-term measures. Now, after identifying all of this, you now drafted a project plan for the implementation. Now, let's imagine you are an associate working on this project, or as I said, just a general employee tasked with this, and now your project lead asks you to create an outline for the progress report of this project. And now I want you to pause the video and think for a second. Based on these information, if you would need to draft a table of contents for such a report, how would that look like? And let's now look into 2 example outlines, what people could have done in order to jot down such a report. So let's look at this first outline example. So this has 4 main points. First, the sizing of savings potentials, so benchmark analysis, activity-based sizing, results per business function. So in this first segment, apparently the associate would propose to talk about what the sizing was, what the identification of the potential was. Then the second section is about low-hanging fruits measures. So in the area production, sales, and purchasing, now the low-hanging fruits measures are explained. Then the savings measures, so savings measures in production, sales, and purchasing. And then the proposed project plan, what actually is supposed to happen in order to bring this to life. So, and again, if you just want to take a moment to think about that, maybe also pause the video again. What do you think? What do you think about this table of contents? Is this MECE? Do the elements here of this progress report not overlap? So are they mutually exclusive? And are they collectively exhaustive? So do they cover all the key topics that you're supposed to talk about? And here, with regard to the MECE principle, I see at least 2 major problems. So the first problem is regarding the first part, so mutually exclusive. And here, in this sense, I believe it's pretty obvious that for sure the sections 2 and 3, they overlap, because the section 3 is called the savings measures, but section 2 is talking about savings measures as well, because these low-hanging fruits, they are savings measures as well, right? Maybe they're a bit of a different type of measures, but for sure they should be subsumed under savings measures. So here the sections 2 and 3, they overlap, they're not exclusive, which is why this is a logic error. In structuring this progress report, it is a violation of the MECE principle. But there is a second violation as well, and this is now in regards to the second element of MECE, namely the collectively exhausting element. Here there is something missing. And maybe if you remember the project brief in the beginning, there was a 4th segment as well. There was a 4th area that you as a team were supposed to look at, and this is now the overhead area. So besides production, sales and purchasing. The overhead segment needs to be looked at as well. And apparently this is now completely missing here. This is not talking about overhead as well. So it's not complete. It's not collectively exhaustive. So this, of course, again, is a second logic error when drafting this report. Now let's look into a second outline example. And here now the associate decided to structure it in 5 subparts of the overall project. So first he wants to talk about the sizing of the savings potential by talking about the conducted analysis and also the results per business function. Then he has headers for all the areas, for all the functions he looked at. First production, then sales, and then he aggregated purchasing and overhead. And he always first talks about the short-term measures and then the medium-term measures. And in the end is where the proposed project plan is coming up. So now again, pause the video, think a moment, what do you think? Is this MECE or not? And I would now argue that yes, this is MECE, right? Because the way that he chose to structure it here by looking area by area, this automatically makes it mutually exclusive, right? So these do not overlap. Now, of course, you could discuss whether purchasing and overhead should be aggregated in one area or whether you make 2 distinct areas for them as well. But I would argue if these are maybe smaller parts, it's fine to also put them together, also because purchasing and overhead are maybe a bit more similar in terms of content compared to production and sales. And then within each of these areas, the short-term measures and the medium-term measures are distinguished. And now this is a way of putting it where these now do not overlap, because short-term is of course now a different horizon of measures that you look at compared to the medium-term measures. So now of course it would also depend a bit on the content of what exactly is written within each of these points. But overall this would be now a structure. At least I would argue that yes, this is MECE. This might very well work for your report. And the reason why the MECE principle is so important is that whenever you create a presentation, whenever you write a written report, and ideally also whenever you talk about something in a structured and professional way, you should follow the MECE principle. You should structure your reports, your presentations, and also your oral arguments in a way that they are MECE, that they follow this MECE principle. Because if you do not, in most cases, your structure is flawed. There's a logic error in the way you're presenting your findings, and of course you want to avoid that in the business world. If you have any more questions about the MECE principle or communication in general, leave me a comment below in the comment section and I will do my very best to answer every single one. If you took any value out of this video at all, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on my content. I release weekly videos every single Saturday. If you want to see even more from me, also follow me on my Instagram. My handle is Firm Learning, and I also have a mailing list with regular business content. You can find a sign-up link to the mailing list below in the video description. And I want to now take a moment to thank all the members of my channel. You guys are really helping me to bring this channel alive, and you're really making a valuable contribution to me. So thank you so much for your warm support. And if you want to become a member as well and benefit from some great membership perks, just hit the join button next to the subscribe button. There's also a direct link in the video description, and there you will learn everything, all the benefits that you get and what you will do in order to become a member. Thank you so much for watching this video. I very much appreciate your time, and as I also hinted in the beginning, I want to make a series out of this talk like a consultant topic. So let me know in the comment whether this is something that you would be interested in and whether this is something that you would like to see more videos on. But until then, thank you guys, enjoy the weekend, and see you again next Saturday.